Hi, and welcome to your running recovery day. This 55-minute practice is going to be the perfect asset to your running program, whether it's an active recovery day or a passive recovery day. We're going to stretch out your quads, your piriformis, your hip flexors. We're also going to get into opening up your heart and your chest and balancing your posture, engaging your core just slightly so you have some stability and strength in your lower back. It'll bring you back into balance from a run or from a hard workout or a hike, and it'll get you right back into your next routine with an active recovery, and also supporting and reducing any kind of stress that you've put your body through in order for you to recover faster and also be on the trail longer. So I hope you like. Hi, and welcome to your recovery running day. We're going to stretch out our IT bands, our piriformis, and our hips today. And I want you to be really nice to your hips and your hamstrings as well. So soften those. We always build strength during running, so we don't want to come into a recovery day and stretch everything out. We're just going to allow a little bit more circulation and a little bit more recovery, and just stretch things out so we can hold on to the mobility that we already have and that we've already established. So come to a comfortable seated position. Sometimes this isn't that comfortable, but if you can line your heels up and just allow your hips to relax a little bit. Bring your arms all the way up and extend and come forward. Allow your forearms to come to the ground. Allow your forehead to come down. Again, if you're up here, that's totally fine. Your hips, as runners, our hips are nice and tight, and that's a very, very good thing. So we want to keep them tight. We just want to allow a little bit more circulation, and we want to make sure they're not pulling on our knees. Take another nice deep breath here. Bring your hands over to your right hand side. Bring your hands over your knees. Bring your nose to your knee if you can. And then come over to your other side. Bring your hands over your knee and bring your nose to your knee. Come back up to your center. Bring your feet up in front of you. Bring your hands back, and then just toss your knees from side to side. And they don't have to go all the way down. Just relax your hips and your knees just slightly. And then bring your other ankle in front. Line up your ankles with each other, and you can give yourself a little bit of a movement there. And then come forward. Allow your hands to come forward and just release and relax. More than anything, have a nice big round in your spine. Breathe in and out through your nose. Take a few more breaths here. Come all the way up. Bring your hands to your knees and roll it out. Nice 3 big rolls in one direction. Come over your hips. And then in the other direction. Nice big rolls with the shoulders. And then come back forward. Extend your arms all the way up into the sky. Come over to your right hand side. Bring your right hand down. Left hand over. You guys will be going the opposite way as me. And then over to the other side. And then up and over. Keep your sit bones on the ground. Look up and over your elbow. And up and over. Again, stretching that space in between the ribs, the intercostal muscles. Up and over a few more times to each side. Up and over. Come back to your center. Bring your hands down. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Bring your hands, this is awesome for your neck. Bring your hands over to your right hand side and bring them up a little bit towards your upper ribs. And then tilt your head over to your right hand side, so away from your bent elbow. Tilt your chin up to the sky, so this just gets through the traps. And then up and then over to the other side. This should also feel equally as good. Again, if you see your spine or you can feel your spine round, engage your lower belly and just have a nice long spine. You should be able to feel your back engaged in this pose. Come back, bring your hands back, open up your heart and your chest, and then over to the other side. Bring your hands up and over, and then bring your ear towards your right shoulder. Chin comes up just slightly, and then over to your left shoulder. So again, getting into your traps. Come back to your center. And then again, bring your hands back, open up your heart and your chest. Great for your lungs, look up. Extend your arms all the way up, interlace your fingers, place your palms in the sky. Round your spine, look towards your belly. Inhale, come up. 2 more. Exhale, round your spine, look towards your belly. Inhale, come up. And last one, round your spine, look towards your belly. Come all the way up. Exhale, twist over to your right hand side. Bring your left hand to your right knee, look over your shoulder. Take another breath here, just twist everything out. Really good for the strength of the spine and also digestion. Inhale, raise your arms back to the sky and twist over to your left hand side. Bring your right hand to your left knee, look over your shoulder. Take a few more breaths. And come back forward, extend your legs out. Give yourself a little bit of a shake out here. So just go through our joint rotations, which we usually do at the beginning of our practice or our beginning of our runs. We just want to get a lot of lubrication in our joints. So just, again, bounce your knees up and down just to relax your legs and your hip flexors. Bring your right knee into your chest. Roll your shoulder blades back and down and roll your ankle out. So good to do in recovery days just to get, kind of sort out your joints, make sure you have the lubrication that you need for running, the mobility, and then rotate your ankle in the other direction. Interlace your fingers, place them behind your hamstring, flex both of your feet. So this isn't a hamstring stretch, it's actually just for the knee, so you don't have to straighten it all the way. If your hamstrings aren't stretched out right now, please just have your knee nice and bent, bring your knee into your chest. You can point your toe, extend your leg out. Knee into your chest, again, just for joint mobility, knee back out. Bring your knee back into your chest and just tiny circles with your toe. 3 one direction and 3 the other direction. Extend your leg back out. And then grab a hold of your toe and bring your elbow to the inside of your knee and just bring your knee back as far as you want. And it might just go to here, and that's awesome. Otherwise, you can bring your knee so it's back just behind your shoulder. Again, if you feel like your lower back is rounding, lengthen your lower back and just pull that in. So we're just creating a tourniquet effect on our right hip flexor. And then when we extend it back out, shake it out, all the blood comes back into the hip flexor, into your leg. And again, roll your shoulder blades back and down. Grab a hold of your left knee, come onto your sit bones, nice long spine, and then roll your ankle out. One direction and the other direction. Nice long spine. Interlace your fingers behind your hamstring, roll your shoulder blades back and down, always working on posture here. Extend your leg just as far as you'd like. If the hamstring's tight, you can even bring the knee down a little bit. Bring your knee into your chest. Extend your leg back out. Knee into your chest. If your hamstring feels good, extend your leg out. Knee into your chest, extend your leg out. And then little circles with your knee. Again, always working on the tracking and the stability of the knee and the strength of the quad. Strength of the back, strength of the spine. Other direction, little circles. And then grab a hold of your toe with your peace fingers and bring your elbow to the inside of your knee and just pull it back. So again, you might be here, or you might even grab onto your calf. Otherwise, you can bring your leg back just as far as you can. A nice long spine here. Again, if it starts to roll back, you can even sit up on a block. So bring your leg back just as far as you'd like, creating that tourniquet effect, restricting that blood flow so you can have a lot of new fresh fluid coming in. Take another breath here. Extend your leg back out, nice big stretch. Bring your fingertips or your hands back, fingertips towards your torso, and just give your legs a little bit of a shake out. You're also kind of pounding on your calves just slightly. Bring your feet so they're hip width apart or mat width apart. Maybe mat width apart, it's just a little bit wider for your hips. And then toss your knees all the way over to the sides. All the way over now. So you're going across your piriformis, which is another part right in the middle of your glutes that we're going to stretch out. That is extremely important for the stability of your hips and your whole lower body. Back and forth from side to side. And then bring your knees over to your right hand side. So your right foot is going to be on your left knee, and prop yourself up so you're sitting up just slightly. Take your right hand back, your fingertips are pointed towards the back of your mat. Your left hand is pointing forward. You're going to come onto your shins. So press into your shins first and lift your hips up. Bring your hand all the way up. So again, we created that tourniquet effect on the hip flexors. Now we're stretching them out, looking up. Yay, sun. Take another nice deep breath. Come back down. One more time, press up. Again, shins are in the ground, hips are up to the sky. Another breath. And come back down. Bring your hands back down and toss your knees over to the other side. Again, shins are in the ground. This is, I guess, one of the key mistakes that I always see is the shins come off the ground. That's why I mention it. Bring your hands back so they're pointed towards the back of the mat. Bring your right hand towards your right knee and then extend your hand up to the sky. Press into your shins and have your hips come up. A nice little back bend. Again, your hand is straight up. If it feels better, you can always bring it back. Gives you a little bit more of a back bend here. You get a nice huge stretch in the side body. And then come back down, breathing in and out through your nose throughout this entire practice, just bringing focus, clarity. Bring your hand up, your hips forward. Again, I can feel my shins grounded. Another breath here. Coming back down with your hips. Bring your hands back, fingertips towards your torso this time, and toss your knees from side to side. Bring your legs forward, flex your feet. Inhale, extend your arms to the sky, half sun salutations. So we're getting into the hamstrings. The hamstrings are usually overstretched in some positions. We're going to soften our knees here. Tone your lower belly. Exhale, fold forward. So knees are nice and bent. Round your spine, come forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Bring your hands by your knees. Flatten your back. Exhale, come forward, soften your knees. Inhale, come up, hands just by your knees. Heart and chest open. Exhale, come forward. Bend your knees, soften your spine. Inhale, come up, hands by your knees. And exhale, come forward. And just pause here. Come underneath with your elbows, unless you're pretty flexible and you can come down with your legs a little bit more straight. Round your spine and come forward. So again, a lot of times in regular yoga classes, you'll hear when they're folding forward that you pull the flesh away from your sit bone. If you're a runner, I would highly recommend that you keep all that padding by your hamstrings. It'll allow you to safely stretch your hamstrings. Again, you can come forward, nice rounded spine. And then round all the way up. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Flex your feet, tone your lower belly, and you can feel your sit bone come up. Again, if your hamstrings are tight, you can always sit on a block as well. You just don't want that rounding here. Always a nice flat spine. So we're encouraging flat spine, nice strong back, shoulder blades back and down. This is a stability that we want throughout our run, just to keep the stability in the hips. Another nice deep breath. And then a little bit, as a massage therapist, this is extremely good for circulation. So you can allow your feet to relax and a little bit of pounding on the tops of your legs. And then go down the sides of your legs, almost like rolling. Down the sides of your legs, forward, down the front of your legs, down the midline of your legs. You can also probably feel your legs being a little bit invigorated. Tops of your legs, sides of your legs, all the way down, tops of your legs, and inside of your legs. Come back down to your feet. Again, a soft bend in your knees, or if you'd like to engage your quads, come forward and then round all the way up. And then a little bit of a pounding to the side of your hips. So just give your hips a little bit of a pounding just with your fists, again, just to release the glutes just slightly. They get a little overworked. And the IT bands, go down the IT bands. We'll be stretching those out in a second. The non-vascular band that gets super tight, and if you don't take care of it, it can also kind of allow your hips to pull on your knees a little bit more. So that's why we do a lot of the hip stretches and the knee strengthening as well. Inhale, extend your arms to the sky, and exhale, come forward one more time. This time, flatten your back and lift your heart and your chest up. Come back up. We're going to roll all the way up to standing. So come into the middle of your mat, bend your knees, and rock all the way up to standing. Come all the way up, extend your arms into the sky, lower your hands to heart center. Come up to the front of your mat. Bring your hands to heart center. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Tone your lower belly, engage your quads. Nice deep breath here in your standing mountain pose, equal weight on both feet. Inhale, raise your arms all the way up. Exhale, swan dive, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Engage your quads. Exhale, fold back forward, step back into your high plank. Shift the crown of your head forward. Lower all the way down onto your belly. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Bring your hands so they're just a couple inches behind your shoulders. Press your pubic bone down into the ground. Press the tops of your feet down into the ground. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Lift your heart and your chest. So rolling cobras. Come all the way down. Just make sure that you're protecting your lower back by engaging your lower belly or pressing your pubic bone down into the ground. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Come up. And come back down. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Come up. Cobra. And back down. Curl your toes under, come through your knees, downward dog. Bend one knee, bend your other knee. Take a few breaths here. Straighten the space, so bring your hands so they're as wide as the mat. I'm a big fan of a wide downward dog. Your pinkies are touching the sides of the mat. There's a lot of space in between your shoulders. Reach your heels back towards the ground. Press one heel, press another heel. If you have any SI joint issues at all, please bend both knees at the same time so you can promote stability in the hips. And then straighten the heel or straighten the legs. Bend both knees and straighten. Again, you can bend one knee or bend both knees at the same time. Walk your feet forward towards your hands. Bring your toes together, bend your knees slightly, and roll all the way up to standing. Extend your arms into the sky, lower your hands to heart center. Bend your knees, place your hands on your knees, roll your knees to one side. 3 rows to one side, 3 rolls to your other side. Standing forward fold. Allow your hands to come down, look towards your knees. Engage your quads. There's an inward rotation of your thighs and your tailbone comes up a little further. Just make sure that you're being nice to your hamstrings. Allow your calves to relax a little, but engage your quads. Again, a soft bend in the knees is fine. Shake your head yes. Shake your head no. Move your torso all the way over to your right hand side. And all the way over to your left. Come back to your center. And then take a wide leg stance. Wide leg stance Bend your knees, slowly roll all the way up. Bring your arms out so your wrists are right above your ankles. Bring your hands to your hips. Roll your shoulder blades back and down and come forward. Engage your quads here. Stop where your torso is parallel with the ground. Engage your quads. Again, be careful of your hamstrings. Bring your hands down. You can even have a soft bend in your knees, especially if you're prone to hyperextending your knees at all. Bring your left hand to the midline and your right hand to the sky. Nice big twist. Look up towards your look up towards your top hand. And bring in Colorado with me. Take another nice deep breath. And then bring your right hand down and your left hand to the sky. And almost like you could set a cup of coffee on your tailbone, on your sacrum. Bring your hand back up. Lower both of your hands so they're right underneath your shoulders. Bend your right knee. So now we're getting into the adductor, the groin area. And this is actually really good for trail running and mountain running. And then bend your left knee. Again, you should feel it right in the groin area, the adductor. And to take it a little further, if it feels good, you can bend into your right knee a little bit more. Just make sure your knee is kind of right over your toe. And then if you'd like, you can even come into a squat where your left toe comes off the ground. So you can work your way into this position. Again, your hips can be all the way up here and you can be balanced, or if it feels good, down here. If your right heel's off the ground, that's fine as well. And then over to the other side. So bend into your left knee. Again, just, you can even take a little bit, not necessarily a bounce, but more like a pulse down and then up. I like to do that with breath, just to get a little bit more into the adductor, especially if you've had an injury or anything like that. And then again, if you'd like, you can come down and your toe can come up. This heel can be off the ground. My ankles are super flexible, which I also have to be careful about. The more flexibility you have, the more strength that you should be doing. So as runners and athletes, we usually have more strength and flexibility. So these little poses are just working on our mobility and our joint flexibility. But we want to retain our strength. Bring your hands back to the center, straighten out your legs, and then come down as far as you'd like. So this is great. Inversions are amazing for your body. Let your head come down. And just, if you'd like, you can grab onto any part of your feet. If you're close to your toes, you can bring your head down. You can bring your head all the way down onto the crown. If you're up high, that's totally cool too. Engage your quads. The one thing that you want to remember with inversions is it's actually all about the blood rushing down your spine. Also promotes creativity. It actually helps a lot of restorative and healing processes, digestive system as well. Taking a few more breaths. Bring your hands back underneath your shoulders, and again, bend into your right knee and bend into your left knee. Bend into your right knee and bend into your left knee. Come right back to your center. Walk your hands all the way forward towards the front of your mat again. Come into a lunge. Right leg's going to be forward, left knee is going to be to the ground. Bring your right leg a little further forward so your ankle is actually in front of your knee. Bring your hands, your palms facing down, and then come onto the side of your foot. So if your hips are tight like mine and like most runners, this is going to be a little bit intense to bring your knee out to the side. So if you can see here, I don't want my ankle kind of flexed over to the side. I want my ankle flexed actually straight back so my toes are coming back towards my knee and I'm not kind of turning or tweaking my ankle at all. So it's just getting right into the hip. It's not stretching my ankle. And believe me, this gets into the hip. If you want to work on more strength, even though it's a recovery day, if you want to work on more strength, you can bring your knee off the ground. If you want to work on more flexibility, you can come onto your forearms. And if you feel good, you can bring your nose to your toes. Again, we want to get into the hip just slightly, but I really want you to be careful of the hip. As we talked about in kind of the how to use these videos, we talked about the stability in the hip, and then we also talked about being kind to the portions of the hip. They're padded, and sometimes with running, we stabilize the hips, and we don't want to stretch them out too much because obviously we want strength and stability for our stride, but we want just a little bit of joint mobility and also lubrication in those joints. So just be nice to your hips, especially when you're stretching them on your recovery day. It should feel good. Come back up, straighten out your front leg. Come back up onto your leg. And again, you can come forward, and that's fine for your hamstring stretch, or if it feels better up here, if you want to bend your front knee slightly and extend your front leg, flex your foot back towards your nose, bend your front knee, and flex your foot towards your toes, nose, and bend your front knee. Bring your hands down to the ground, lift your back knee off the ground, step into high plank. You can see the difference between both feet. Bring your left foot forward. Bring your back knee to the ground and step your foot forward. So again, most of the time we have the knee right over the ankle because this is a hip flexor stretch or hip stretch. You're gonna bring your nose so it's right over the ball of your foot. So the ankle is going to be a little bit in front of your knee. And if this at all pinches, if at any time anything pinches anywhere, pretty much, please come out so you can kind of wiggle your way out. And especially if you've done long runs, I know that I have to kind of move back and forth. So movement in any of these poses is awesome. Just go for it. There's no reason that you need to stay anywhere that doesn't feel completely comfortable. This is your recovery day. This is all about taking care of yourself. So again, flex your foot so your toes come back towards your knees. Again, you can come off your back knee for strength. It gets a little bit more pressure on your hip, so be nice and careful with that. And then if you'd like, whoa, this one's tight. You can come down onto your forearms or not. That's kind of one of my things. You can always do that or not. And then if you'd like to come down and bring your head a little closer again, feel free to do that. Again, this is pretty intense on your hip. So we're just going to stay here for a few breaths. If it feels good, just drop your knee and just hang out. In any of these poses, feel free to stop the video as well and just hang out in the poses as long as you'd like or move. I'm a big fan of moving in my practice. I think stillness with athletes is not necessary sometimes. Bring your hands just outside your foot and then straighten out your front leg, which should feel awesome. And bend into your front knee. Again, I really like this movement, straightening and bending into your front knee. We're just getting a little bit of lubrication. And again, like I said before, I'm a sports massage therapist, and I'm trying to get some circulation into the tighter parts that I find on a lot of runners. Bend into your front knee and straighten your front leg. Bend into your front knee again. Place your hands on the outside of your foot. Bring your back knee off the ground and come back into your high plank. You can point and flex your feet back here just to give yourself a little bit of a stretch in the back of your legs. And come up into downward dog. Hinge your hips to the sky. Bring your heels in. Take another breath. Come back into high plank. Bring your right knee into your chest. Extend your right leg out to your left-hand side. So this is an IT band stretch. Come onto your hip. So easier is to have your foot at an angle. Harder is to have your foot straight out. Bring the top of your back foot to the ground. Make sure your heel is up. This is something that happens a lot. And this will help for the rest of your exercises too, this is called sickling, when your heel is like all dumpy on the side. So you want your heel like straight up so it's nice and strong. Your foot comes out to the side, IT bend, It's like the runner's nemesis, but this is an awesome one for it. This is also really good for digestion, which is another thing that I find to be very effective for any kind of athlete, just getting the digestive system working efficiently. You can come down onto your forearms, or you can come down onto your belly, or you can thread your left arm through and come into this enormous twist. And just breathe in and out through your nose here. This is like a revolved triangle in the ground, but it's amazing for IT band, for digestion, also for strengthening ankles. And then come back all the way up. Give yourself a little bit of a back bend here if that feels okay on your back. Curl your back toes under, lift your hip off the ground. Take another breath here. Bring your knee into your chest. Extend yourself back into high plank. Give yourself a little bit of a bounce with your heels. And then bring your left knee into your chest. Extend it over to your right hand side. Drop onto your left hip. Again, make sure your heel is straight up, that it's not doing the little sickling, and your foot's out to the side. If it's too much in the IT band, again, you can come to an angle. You just want to make sure that you're getting your belly and your chest down as far as you can here. Again, forearms are awesome. Turning out our midsection or twisting out our midsection. And then if you'd like, bring your right arm through and come into a twist. Breathe in and out through your nose. Take another few breaths here. Again, amazing for the IT band. You'll probably feel it a little in the hip. I can feel it a little bit in my glute med. And then come back up. Bring your hands back up, just a little bit of a back bend here. Curl your back toes under. And then bring your knee into your chest. And then give yourself a little bit of a push out in downward dog. Bend one knee, bend your other knee. And then come down onto your knees. And bring your knees just as wide as your ribs. Bring your toes together and sit back, child's pose. This is an awesome one for the back. Again, a great recovery after a run as well. Prop yourself up on your fingertips and make space underneath your armpits. So you have a nice space for your lats. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Take a few more breaths here. Prop yourself back up. Curl your toes under. Come into your downward dog. Bring your right leg up. Bring it forward in between your hands. So this time the right knee goes right over the right ankle. Bring your back knee to the ground. We're going to twist this one. So you can bend. This is where you know if you're dehydrated or not. So the hamstring does tend to cramp in this one sometimes, depending on what you've done. So you can bend your left knee, and then if you'd like, you can reach around with your right hand and grab it or not. So option to open up here and twist. Again, bring your right leg out so to make sure your right knee is right over your right ankle. And you can open up. If that feels good, you can look up. You can bring your heel a little closer. Take another nice deep breath here. This should feel great on your quad, great on your hip. Bring it back down. Bring your hands back down, curl your toes back under, and step back, downward dog. Bring your left leg up and bring it forward. Bring your back knee to the ground. Again, move your foot out just a little bit to the left-hand side. Bring your knee right over your ankle. You're gonna reach, bend your knee, and if this is as far as you go, that's awesome. Otherwise, if you'd like, grab your foot, open up your heart and your chest. Again, my knee likes to come out, which does also feel good. That's totally an option if you'd like to have your knee come out to the side. Otherwise, you can have your knee right over your ankle and look up. Bring your heel a little bit closer, a nice big quad stretch. Another breath here. Bring your foot back down. Press into your knee. Press into your hands. Bring your foot to the midline and come back into your downward dog. Nice big stretching your downward dog here. Come forward into your high plank. Come all the way down onto your belly. Roll your shoulder blades. Got this guy in my face. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Bring your hands so they're just back behind your shoulders, a couple inches. Open up your heart and your chest and come back down. So this is an amazing shoulder opener. So what you're going to do, bring your right hand out all the way to the side, palm facing down. Bring your left hand in and then roll onto your right hip and roll onto your right ear. If you'd like, so this is more of like a stretch in your pec major on your right hand side. If you'd like, you can reach back towards your left foot and open up and come into a quadricep stretch with your left leg. It's kind of multitasking here. So you're feeling a stretch in your right pec major, your right chest muscle, and then you're also getting into a little bit of your quadricep on your left side. Take 3 more breaths. And then come back center. Switch it up. Extend your left arm out, bend your right elbow, place your palm on the ground, and then come back. This is great because you'll be able to see it from the back side. So bring your left ear down to the ground. Bring your right leg back. So if you'd like, grab the top of your foot and open up your heart, open up your quadricep. Breathe in and out through your nose. Take a few more breaths here. This should feel great for your chest. This is awesome for posture. And you can see from the behind view that I'm pretty much pushing together that space in between my shoulder blades, which is amazing for posture, and it's great for blood flow. Take another breath here. Come back to your center. Bring your hands back behind your shoulders. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Open up your heart and your chest. Cobra. Come back, child's pose. Bring your knees apart, your toes together. Sit back, child's pose. Breathe in and out through your nose. Doing yoga, especially a little bit longer practice on a recovery day, is amazing for your stress level. A lot of times we stress our body with exercise. So bringing our body back to a normal stress response and getting into our parasympathetic nervous system is very beneficial. Come into your high plank. Come into pigeon. Bring your right knee towards your right wrist. So if your knees aren't awesome or they're a little tender, please have your heel coming straight in. Please have your heel coming straight in. So my hips are very tight from running. So my back foot's going to be, again, no sickle, heel straight up, strengthens the back of the foot, strengthens the arch. And then my heel's coming straight in because my hip is really tight. If your hips aren't tight and they feel good, you can have your foot come so it's parallel with the front of your mat. But as you can see, if I did that, my hips would be way up here, and that's not as beneficial. So slide your foot back. You want your toe to be facing towards, so you want your toe pointed if it's coming back. Your hips are both forward, and to check out that you're not kind of hunched over on one side, you want to make sure your hands come by your hips and that you can almost balance yourself. Hips are straight forward. Again, I have hardly any pressure on my hips right now, and it feels actually really good, even though my hips are really tight. And again, with running, we want to keep them tight. but it's nice to get then just a little bit of a release in pigeon. So here you can make a pillow with your hands and come forward, or you can like double fist, come up a little bit. You just want a little bit of pressure on your forehead because that releases and helps the parasympathetic nervous system come into play instead of that stress response. Usually we hold a lot of tension in our hips, whether we're athletes or whether it's emotional or whatever it is. Especially women tend to hold a lot of tension in our hips, and with men, usually the hips are a lot tighter because of how they're shaped. So feel free to come into any position that feels good for you here. And if it's not pigeon, you can also come into figure 4. So when we change to the other side, I'll show you a figure 4, and that might be another option that you might want to get into. Please feel free to stay in your pigeon for a minute or two. It is a nice one, especially at the end of the evening or for a recovery day. But I want you to make sure it feels good or feels moderately good most of the time. You don't really want to come to your edge as a runner in pigeon, so you want to come to kind of a pretty comfortable spot that you can stay in for about a minute. Take another few breaths here. Press into your hands, curl your back toes under, and then come back into your downward dog and press it out here. Press it out here. One heel back, the other heel back, and into your shoulders. If it feels good to kind of move your hips from side to side. Come back into your high plank and slide your left knee forward towards your wrist. Again, point your toe. Come into pigeon. Come into pigeon on your other side. Bring your hands towards your hips. Open up your heart and your chest. For those of you coming forward into pigeon, just come forward into pigeon. Make a pillow with your hands. So stay in pigeon. I'm going to show you just one more variation. So for those of you who are comfortable there, please stay there. Otherwise, if you have a little bit tender knees, you can come into figure 4, which means you can bring your heel over your knee. And again, you want to flex your foot. You don't want that silly sickle. It's no bueno. Bring your heel so it's right near your knee, and you can bring your chest a little bit closer. So this is a little bit easier on your knees, and it does equally get into your hip. So please feel free to stay in this one, and you can do this on both sides instead of pigeon. Awesome choice. Because some people, it's a little too tender on the knees in this. Otherwise, you guys are still in my pigeon. Awesome. You can have your head down. Again, just take a few more breaths. And I really like just to move back and forth with my hips. I feel like it feels good. And I've probably been doing pigeon for about seriously 15 years or so, and this is where I've gotten because I run. So don't be afraid as if you don't see you're getting more flexible. That's not the point here. The point is to get more circulation in your hip and to allow your hips to release just enough so that your knees track right. If I loosen my hips, they don't hurt at night. If I loosen my hips just a little bit, my knees track better. So just knowing that increasing flexibility isn't what we want to do or necessarily what we want to do in these postures with yoga, especially for yoga for runners and athletes. Bring your hands back up. Open your heart and your chest. Curl your back toes under. Come back into your downward dog and press it out. One heel back, your other heel back. Nice long spine. And then walk forward into a seated position. Sit yourself down, roll your shoulder blades back and down. Come into a piriformis stretch. So the piriformis is a really tight muscle just along the inside of your glute, just right under kind of your glute medius. And it tends to get really tight. So I'll show you this kind of from the side. Bring your left knee in and grab a hold of your right foot with your left hand. Bring your right hand back, and then you're going to come onto pretty much your glute med, your cheek. You're going to come onto your right cheek and come back and forth. And this is almost like a mini massage. So what you're doing is you're pressing on, you'll find it, a tight spot in the middle of your glute. You can even lift up your other foot if you need more pressure. A tight spot in the middle of your glute, and you want to come off of that and back onto it. So you're coaxing more blood flow in there, because what happens is when the muscles get tight, it's like a tight rope. They don't receive any blood flow or any circulation, so you want to coax blood into that muscle so it gets more oxygen, more blood flow, and obviously that'll be more healthy that way. So you can probably feel a little bit of tightness there, so come off and on that. Breathe in and out through your nose. And then come off that, and you can probably feel a difference from both sides. Sometimes if my piriformis is actually really tight, it makes you feel a little bit nauseous, and that's fine. It's just a little bit of detoxification. Everything's kind of running through your system. Anytime you hit kind of a tighter muscle that hasn't had a lot of blood flow in it in a while, you might feel like just a little bit of that unease in your stomach. But that's just things moving around, which is beneficial. So again, we're doing the other side. Come off and on your glute med, and you can feel probably that tight muscle. And again, if that's too much, you can always just put a little bit of pressure on your foot, come back and forth. I like to say about 4 or 5 times, just to get some circulation into your glute and your hip. This is extremely beneficial for your lower back, and especially if you've ever had sciatica. This is an awesome sciatica stretch, because what happens is the piriformis gets super tight and it can press on that nerve and then give you that sciatica down your whole leg. So it's a good one for that. Come off of that, bring the bottoms of your feet together, roll your shoulder blades back and down, bring your heels so they're probably about a foot away from your torso. Bring your hands, so if your knees are if your hips are flexible, your knees might be all the way down, but my knees come up, totally fine. Bring your hands underneath. You're gonna round your spine. Bring your hands underneath, grab the tops of your feet, and then roll all the way forward. And just allow the spine to release and relax. Breathe in and out through your nose. Take a few more breaths here. Round your spine, come all the way up. Bring your heels in just a little bit closer. Grab a hold of your ankles and then press your knees down just slightly so it feels comfortable. Nice long spine, look forward. Come back up. Bring your feet so they're mat width apart. As you can tell, this is one of my favorite things to do. Bring your hands back and toss your knees from side to side. Just really gets into your hips. Before I started doing yoga, my hips were really tight and my knees were tracking in. By the end of marathons, my one knee was actually touching my other knee, so my left knee was coming in. With a lot of these stretches, especially with the hip stretches, my knees started tracking correctly, and I've actually strengthened my arches of my feet. So I feel it's very beneficial to do a lot of these poses, especially on your recovery days. Flex your feet, bring your toes together. Inhale, extend your arms to the sky, and exhale, fold forward. Forward folds are nice and cooling. Allow your head to come down. Again, you might be up here. Again, you might be sandwiched down. Whatever feels good. But please leave the flesh close to your glutes. We don't ever want to stretch, especially for the long runs. There is a tendency to overstretch that attachment point right at the hamstrings, right near the end of your buttocks. And we want to avoid that in yoga. We want to allow everything to release and relax, but be protected as well. Roll all the way up. Bring your hands all the way up. Roll yourself all the way down into the ground. Let yourself long. Bring your hands above your head. Move your hands over to the right and your feet over to the right. Stretch the right side or the left side of your body like a banana. You can interlace your fingers or not. You should feel a nice stretch in your lower QL, so your quadratus lumborum, right attachment to the hips. That's your twisting muscle. Sometimes that gets tight and pulls on your hips as well. So just stretch that space out, that space in between your ribs, your intercostal muscles. And then over to your other side. Bring your legs over, bring your left, stretch everything over to the left. Take another nice deep breath here. Come back to your center. Yeah, sun. Bring your knees into your chest. Rock back and forth. So I just have to say, I'm in Colorado, Breckenridge. It was about to snow on us this morning, about 35 degrees. Now it's about 60. So nice. Bring your knees to your chest. Give yourself a little bit of love. Extend your arms out to the side, palms facing down. Bring your knees over to your right hand side. You can even scoot your hips over to your left so you can get a nice huge twist. Bring your right hand to your left knee and just open it up. Look over your shoulder. So nice to finish all of your practices with a nice big twist. And your lower spine, it releases the lower back. And then press into your feet. Shift your hips over to the right. Bring your knees over to the left. Look over to the right. Allow your shoulders to relax against the ground. Take another nice deep breath. Feel my spine popping back into place. Bring your knees back into your chest and just allow yourself to release and relax. And even though it's not the most attractive pose, it's so good for your lower back. Happy baby. So you can grab the bottoms of your feet and allow your knees to come in just towards your armpits. And if your tailbone isn't on the ground, grab your shins. Or you can even grab behind your hamstrings and roll back and forth. So this is just a nice, really nice lower back release. And oh my gosh, it's so good if you're trail running, especially if you're mountain trail running. We did quandary the other day, a 14er around here, and it's just, just jumping into child's pose and just doing a little lower back release really helps. You can extend both legs if that's in your realm. You can allow your legs to come out to the side, or you can bend one knee or bend your other knee. Just get comfortable with this and see if there's anything else you need to release or relax here. Bring your hands or your feet up again. And then allow your feet to come out to the side. So the most important part of your recovery day is actually Shavasana. So allow yourself to come all the way down onto your mat. Bring your legs out so they're about hip width apart. This is an awesome little tool. So it's called heel rocking, and it actually relaxes your whole body. So in order to do it right, you have to have your feet about hip width apart, and you have to kind of have your heels in your mat, or it doesn't really work on carpet, unfortunately, because your heels don't stick. Have your arms come out to the side and point and flex your feet. And if you can see here, my head kind of bobs up and down, and it actually is awesome for your lymphatic system. So you rock back and forth. It's hard to talk. You point and flex your feet. Your head bobs up and down and your heels stay exactly where they are. And you keep doing this, and you keep doing it a little faster. Faster, 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 and then relax. And you should just feel how it feels. You should feel a little bit of energetic movement. Again, amazing for your lymph system, amazing for circulation. Kind of sorted out the digestive system with all of our twisting and wringing out, folding forward. Allow your shoulder blades to relax against the ground. Allow your belly to be soft. You can even pick up your hips and allow your hips to roll from side to side, and just allow everything to relax into the ground. Again, the most important part of your whole practice is Shavasana. Reduces your cortisol levels, helps your recovery time. The other thing about this is if you can stay in this for 10 to 15 minutes after a practice like we just did, it can equal up to 2 to 3 hours of deep sleep. That's how restorative it can be in this posture. So just continue to breathe in and out through your nose and stay here as long as you'd like. or for at least the next 10 breaths. Allow your ankles to relax. Allow your hips to relax. Allow your breath to come into your belly. Shoulder blades to roll back and down. Feel your back of your hands against the ground. Make the full connection. Make the full connection with your breath and your body. As athletes, that's what we have. We have the physical body and how it responds to the stressors that we give it. Now allowing everything just to melt. Full reboot of your body, making you stronger, more powerful for your next run. And then at the end of those 10 breaths, or at the end of your 10 minutes or so, wiggle your fingers and toes. Extend your arms above your head. Give yourself a nice, huge stretch. Hug your knees into your chest. Rock up to a seated position. You can cross your legs or you can come onto your knees. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Bring your hands to your knees. Close your eyes. Just see how your body feels. Make that connection. Difference between just stretching and yoga is that connection to the breath, the connection to the mindfulness, that ability to focus and also concentrate on certain parts of the body to release and relax. Super beneficial for any sport that you do any day. Bring your hands to heart center, roll your shoulder blades back and down. You can open your eyes. And that is the end of your recovery day practice. Take care of yourself, eat lots of protein, and I will see you on the next run.